tends to make the dad feel like he's not really a partner in the process and not respected. He tends to, if there's too much of that going on, he withdraws. If there's any type of danger that occurs to the child, and the mom feels the child's not being adequately protected, sometimes she gets really furious, or in worst case scenarios, and she wants to have. She feels that creates a reason for her to have full involvement with the children. Plus, the children have been her job psychologically, and they've been her job financially. She's, oftentimes received half of the family income from raising the children. So she has all sorts of economic and emotional and protector instinct ties to the child that ends up usually making the father feel uninvolved. An uninvolved dad oftentimes feels like he has nobody to love him emotionally, nobody to need him. Men who have nobody to love them and need them get depressed. Men who are depressed oftentimes go out and seek other women for company. Other women tend to want the father to help take care of their children or to have children with the father, and then the father becomes invested in another set of children and torn between his new home where he's getting love and his old home where he's getting gatekeeping, and then tends to withdraw from the process, only proving to the mother that the father never cared to begin with. So that's the dynamic.
It's kind of a vicious circle there.
Yeah, exactly. And then neither one understands the other. Mom's area that every mom listening really needs to check is the gatekeeping tendency. Dads, you need to do the research on understanding why you are so crucial to child development, and you need to communicate that constructively and lovingly to a mom so that she knows women can't hear what men don't say. Men have basically put their heads in the sand and hoped the bullets would miss, and that's not a very effective way of communicating with women.
Do you have any suggestions for dads out there on how they can communicate with the mothers of their children? I know sometimes it's a very stressful, tense environment, and it can be very difficult for them to talk with the mother.
Yes, first of all, the most important way to talk to anybody is to listen first, and then after you listen, to share with the mother what you heard. And so it's a discipline. It's a discipline of love to be able to listen to somebody who is speaking that you disagree with and completely hear them, completely know what that you've heard them say, share with them what you heard say, volunteer and ask for them, did I distort anything? Ask them if you missed anything. Ask them if they want to add any more. And when anybody, woman or man, feels heard in that way, they're far more likely to listen to your perspective for a while as well. And so that's step number one. And I spend about half of my life doing couples communication work, and my attitude is that communication is a lot more important than legislation, and that children do a lot better when they have two parents that they hear communicate effectively, both because it keeps the parenting stable, and also it gives the children a really good role model of how to communicate.
Okay. Another issue that a lot of the dads that watch our podcast on DadsDivorce.com, they want to be a part of their children's lives, and unfortunately for custody issues or being farther away than they like, they don't get to spend as much time with their kids as they like. Now, there's a couple things I found on your website, the top 12 ways a dad can be with a child when he can't be with his child. I'm just going to read a couple of them, and maybe we can discuss them after I read a couple.
Sure.
The first one was tape or burn a CD of a loving holiday message listing the 10 best things you love about your son or daughter. Then leave a series of loving messages on your child's answering machine. Hide Post-it notes in your child's room, each one with a different appreciation methods. And the list goes on and on, just about leaving messages and making sure that your child is aware that you would like to be in their life, but you're just unable. What are some of the other things that you can do to be with your child?
Yes, first of all those things are not you telling your child you'd like to be in their lives, but really just letting your child know that you appreciate them, are aware, and are interested in everything that they're doing. And then that indirectly communicates the message that you'd like to be in their lives. And so those are certainly having little things at the house that the child encouraging the child to create things, and finding out what type of music your child likes, and sort of doing messages or playing, sending that music to them, sending tape recorded messages every week or so out to the child. Now, sometimes fathers complain that mothers prevent the children from getting the mail, and so if you feel like if you register that your child is not getting that, then it becomes then it's important to start sending your stuff, certified mail, and receipt required, and then reporting to the court when these types of attempts to communicate are being undermined. So those are just have in your child's room loving messages that you've sent to them. Encourage them to sort of obviously keeping things on the refrigerator that is artwork that they do. A lot of dads really do these types of things already, and but those are making sure that on holidays the children have messages from you, and presents from you, but mostly having a series like of 10 things that go to your children on the day before the holidays, like the 12 days of Christmas, with each something in it each time, but making sure that what's being sent is not money valued things, but word values, that is appreciations of them. The stress that I find is that children care if your communication with a child is about things and presents, then a child tends to value you for bringing those things, as opposed to tending to value you for your ability to see the things that they do well, and your ability to provide opportunities for them for growth and fun and bonding. So those are just some of the things. Okay,
sticking on the topic of children, one of the things you say in your book is that society's focus on the best interests of the child is often in the worst interests of the child. Can you give me an example and explain this a little bit more to our audience?
Sure. Yes. Oftentimes we'll say there's such focus on the best interests of the child and the judge and the mother and the father will say, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" And I'm saying the best interest of the child is not what the child wants. The best interest of the child is some combination of what the father needs, what the mother needs, and what the child needs, and that that in the long run, the child's best interest is learning that it's not the center of everything in the world. That the parents are preparing the child for. A child that feels it's the center of everything becomes a narcissistic, self-centered personality that's very hard to please and doesn't get along with other people, and as a result of that tends to get depressed and socially maladjusted and develop ADHD and other sorts of social disconnects and problems. So that's part of it. The second thing is what the child wants is oftentimes a good sign of what is worse for the child. So a child's far more likely to want candy than to want vegetables, and is far more likely to wish to be with the parent that gives him or her candy more than requires them to eat vegetables. And so if the child is saying, "I want to be with my mom," or "I want to be with my dad," be suspicious, especially when that child is young, because it's more likely to mean that that child is getting what it immediately wants from that parent. And the job of maturity is the job of postponed gratification, not the job of immediate gratification. And so the job of a good parent is to be able to give a little bit of candy and mostly vegetables, and to set good boundaries with the child and say, you can't have your for example, you can't have your ice cream until you finish your peas. Mm-hmm. And a child's going to always say, "Okay, I had this many peas."